See the little me.
Welcome to the Apply Pressure Podcast, and I got a great guest for you guys today. My man Darryl Morrison, and he's more than my boy. He's also my pastor as well. So we're gonna keep it a little PG. I'm gonna give him a hard time though. Don't act like I'm gonna give him a hard time. But I've known him for a long time. Another one of my great mentors, great family man, great husband, man. And we're gonna get into it because he has 5 kids that all got D1 scholarships. So parents, I know you're gonna want to listen to this and hear his advice, his wisdom. Him and his wife, Miss Joanne, have done an excellent job of just raising the family, cultivating the community in their church. And it's just an honor and privilege to have been a part of that. And so just love doing life with this man. And so welcome on the show, my man, D-Mo.
Thank you for having me. And you got to be honest now, you helped us start this church. So
I did my part. And it was really just God preparing the way. I mean, to be honest, because that transition in my life was one of the craziest moments. I had just came off a Pro Bowl in Washington, feeling myself like, okay, I can rock. Because I was undrafted cat, right? Grinded, got on, had to play all these positions. And I actually chose to go back to Washington as a free agent, and they took my deal off the table.
Yeah.
Make no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we just bidding you up so that other people will pay you more. Like, and you've been in the league, right?
Absolutely.
You played. He's an NFL legend as well, playing the league. How many did you get?
4 years.
4 years. So he understands the business.
Yeah.
GMs, teams don't bid their players up. They want to keep their talent for cheap, right?
For cheap.
So it made no sense. Little did I know at the time, right? D-Mo was preparing to come out to Arizona, back home, South Phoenix, where he grew up at. And me and my wife had been here maybe 6 months, because I ended up signing with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And reached out, and we held some of the first church meetings in our home.
Absolutely.
And so just a pleasure to be about that. And that was really the first time I think that I was aware about God putting me in uncomfortable situations, not for me, but for other people, and the impact that it meant, right? And so, really cool. But he tried to butter me up with that real quick because I also am kind of his trainer, and he actually looks good right now. I was going to give him a compliment. Down slam. He's been avoiding me, though. When I'm in church, when he talks about some of his things, he avoids eye contact with me. And now he's talking about he want to come back in the gym. He think he can handle it now. But
I think I'm ready.
But I've grown though, so because we worked out when I first got done with.
I don't even want to call it working out.
It was working
killed
out.
me.
No, I was getting ready. I was preparing for something that I no longer was
okay,
prepared to do, right?
Okay.
So you got to shift sometimes.
Okay,
right? I made a little.
I wish you would have shifted earlier.
I learned. You live and you learn, right? You do the same thing now.
I agree.
Now I'm gonna tell you this. Now when he pastoring up there and he hit cats over the head, it's like a unique. And that's why I love to be back there laughing because you hit people with a joke, but he's like, no, he's serious.
There's something to that.
Is he really serious? Why he coming at me? And I think that's a really cool thing that you do because it really gets people to start thinking about their relationship with God and how they're living that out and how they're treating people, right?
Absolutely.
And so, what has your faith journey looked like? How did you become a pastor after playing in the league? And right, it typically doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And I think, I don't know, I always say this, and I'm happy to be back in Arizona because when I was young, my grandmother was a very, very influential person in my life. She was very spiritual. She loved God. And that's not what I was accustomed to, but there was something about her that intrigued me.
Yeah.
Her faith and things of that nature. So then once going to the league, I think facing some of my greatest blessings and disappointments all in one is when I began to think about what is purpose for me. And so going into the league, being drafted in the 6th round and recognizing this is the dream, but in the same way recognizing this will never satisfy whatever this thing that was inside of me.
Right.
And then feeling like once my career ended abruptly after 4 years, hurt my neck and not being able to play anymore, there was a big question that just rung in my heart. It was, who are you?
Right.
I knew what I did. I enjoyed it. I loved the game of football. Now that was gone. So now who am I? Not just what will I do, but who am I? And then that's when I began to think about being a person of purpose and living my life with a purpose. And there was no thing that I could think of except really being able to impact people like me.
Yeah.
And so being able to serve as the assistant chaplain for the Redskins then, now Commanders, being able to see the lives change and impacted, and then watching you all come through. I was serving then, and then watching you come through and seeing you guys and watching your lives change, seeing your families, and all of that just was something that was so impactful to where I recognized this is what I feel like I want to do for the rest of my life. So yeah.
Tell me what define purpose, because that's a word that people use a lot, right? And I think we make it mean a lot of different things, right? And especially for like our athletes that'll be actually checking this out, right? Because a lot of guys are going to go through that. At some point you will, whether you're I was 38 or Tom Brady 42 or you are 18 and you're done with high school, you don't get a scholarship, and or you're not good enough to go to that level, right? So how do you define purpose? What's that?
I think purpose really starts with understanding who you are, right? Especially in the environments that we find ourselves in. It's what do you do, right? But purpose is who you are, and how does that impact what you do? Right. How does that impact the people around you? And how does that make a difference in the world?
Right.
And so it's the essence of you really coming to the reality of who you are and what you were really created to be and to do, and how's that going to impact the world.
Now, I know you don't want to go into pastor mode on me, but Pastor Brett, our pastor, used to always say, right, there's a lot of ways of doing things, but I'm looking for the best way.
Yes.
So from your perspective, what are some of the best things that you should be living out in your purpose? What is that? What is that identity? What are those character traits? Who is that model?
Yes. So in terms of model, I think I've had some good examples. And I think there's a collection of people who have given me examples of like kind of living that thing out. You hear me say this all the time. People talk about their vision statement, their personal vision statement, their mission statement. And so for me, I think it extends into who we are as a church. Love God, right? Like my intent and purpose is to truly be a person who loves God. And you know how it is even in sports. A lot of people want to be on the team. A lot of people want to be a professional athlete, but it's work.
Yeah.
And the reality is that loving God requires work.
Yeah.
Living for Him is even tougher. That's now you got to go out there and practice this thing, right? You got to put it into practice. So living for Him. So I want to love God. I want to live for Him, and then I want to lead people to Christ.
Right.
I want my life to be a way in which it helps other people see the good, not in me, but the good that has been done to me and for me. So, and I've seen just many people do that.
Yes.
You teach me that. I love that. I watch and I learn, and I try to take something from all of the amazing people God has brought around me to only enhance and refine that in my life.
No, that's great. And please don't miss out on what you just said, or people at home, what Demo just said, right? Love, live, lead, right? As far as who you are, right? And that's manifested in what you do, right? So, as you a football player, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to live on your teammates, love this game, right? You're trying to live it out the way you come up to work every day, and you're trying to lead people around you and cultivate a great culture, right? So that same thing applies if you own a business, right? If you serving in the church, if you a teacher, garbage man, right? Politician, right? It just transcends. Because I think a lot of times we try to compartmentalize, especially as athletes. I'm just going to leave it in this box, and then everywhere else is chaos. And so I think we got to start with our identity, right, and who we are solely. So then it travels with us.
Absolutely.
So I really love that aspect. And so how have you, we mentioned this in the open, right? You have 5 kids, and if you parent out here, you're going to definitely feel this, right? 5 kids, same parents, same household. They all different. Come on. They all different. All different. Yes. So how were you able to manifest those principles in them, right? Because I've been around your kids. They all love Jesus. They live for Him, and they're trying to lead other people to Christ, and it's manifested. And it's not that it's been perfect, but you have at their core, right? They all have come back in some way, shape, or form, or doing the things that impact the community.
Yeah, and to start out, it hasn't been perfect. Yeah, and that's just the reality. And so before I tell you, these are the things that okay, it hasn't been, and I think that's for every parent out here is to understand that. But it's worth giving it a try. It's worth trying your best to demonstrate something and to set a standard. So ours is very simple. I always say this: you're Morrison, and so there's some meaning behind that, right? So it's it's allowing them to understand that once again, there's purpose behind who they are. And you're Morris, and what does that mean? We give our best. We try as hard as we possibly can. We try our best not to give up. We recognize we have to appreciate what we have, and that's just through experience, right? And I've tried my best to just establish that with them, that there's something in you that's good enough to do whatever it is you've been called or created to do. There's something in you. And so I've tried to, that's probably the thing that we've done with each child. Now, but each child is different.
Right.
And so I have one child, we will wake up, and this one was a daughter, there's three of them, so they can figure out who This one we get up, and she was a part of swim, and it was competitive swim, and I thought she was just out for a nice little stroll in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
She never really exerted any energy or effort, and someone even told her in basketball, you'd be very good if you ever tried to jump. And I'm like, what is this, right? And I have another child, it's a he, and talented, and just looks at life a little bit different. So I had to adjust.
Right.
And it was difficult for me at first because I was so accustomed to doing things my way that got me the results that were beneficial to me.
Yeah.
And so I had to recognize they see through a different lens, and they're inspired by things that are different from what I'm inspired by. So I had to learn them.
Okay.
And then try to encourage them and inspire them. But what I always kept as a standard is this is a Morrison.
Right.
Like, we try hard. We don't quit.
Yeah.
We give our best.
Yeah.
Right? And so you ever want to stop, you'll never quit.
Right.
But you can stop when it's over.
Right.
But we never quit.
Well, I'm not as nice as you. Zoe is my struggle. I'm gonna call her out. Zoe, right?
That's my girl. Leave Zoe
alone. And so it's just right. You talk about learning things, and for me, I see a lot of myself in Zoe. So I think that's been one of the hardest things, things that I struggle with, things that I dealt with, and once I got it, it clicked. And so you try to like put the rush order on for your kid, because I'm like, if you just figure this out, you got it. Come on now, come on. I've already lived it. Why you got to live it, right? So for parents, because that's what what I see a lot of out on the field or coaching. You got parents hovering, trying to talk and trying to get their kids to do one thing. And then, what have you learned? Because I know you've probably done that in some way, right? Maybe not at the field, but at home or whatnot. What are some of the things that you're talking about that you've actually learned as a dad? Because I think parenting is way more for us than it is for them.
Absolutely.
As far as cultivating who you are so you can love, lead, and live for Christ much better, right? So what are those things that you've learned as a dad?
I've learned, and I'll start kind of from the competitive side of it, because that's what a lot of the places I felt like I've learned is going back to they're different. And it was difficult for me initially because I actually am more inspired by negative motivation. If you say I can't do it, thank you.
Right.
Then I'm going to do everything within my power to. So I actually tried that with my kids because that was the only way. That was the first way I learned how to experience success. And my older two kids, it didn't work. So I had to figure something out different. And I had to realize that, like, as a parent, my number one objective was to, and I think I learned this better with the last three kids. As a parent, my number one objective was to make sure that I encouraged them to love what they were doing. And so I wanted the first two to win.
Right.
I wanted them to beat everybody. I felt like they could be the best, and there was nobody that was better than them.
Right.
And so the sole objective was for them to win. And I missed something because they started losing the love for what they were doing. And I think a lot of that had to do with me because I was one of those parents early on. Didn't do it outwardly, but if we're in the car, you're going to hear about it.
Right.
And so I realized that with the younger three, I absolutely gave them space and time to love what they were doing, to enjoy it, and just to be able to have fun in the midst of doing it as well. And to be honest with you, I think the younger three are the ones who probably just enjoyed more of their experiences as they grew older, and it became their own. The older two, I felt like I pushed them so hard to it, like, I don't have nothing to do with this.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's where I'm constantly trying to figure that out, especially like with Zoe and Mason, that I have Miles and now having those conversations. And so I know like your youngest one, Ben, who's now in the NFL, right? When I've explained who Miles is, right, you said that's who Ben is, right? And so so that's why, you have to do this in community. You have to ask parents that have kids who've done it and gone before you so that you don't necessarily make those mistakes to maybe do more harm than good, right? And so, like I said, Miles is the one that's like, he's gifted, and he just does stuff differently now. Like, I'm just gonna be up in here just chilling, doing me, baby. I got it. Yeah. And if I give it to you, I give it to you. But I may not give it to you.
May not want to. Right?
And so, which is so contrastly different, because Mason is like all in go. Yeah. And so I've really had to sit back and how do you parent each one? How do you motivate or inspire one, and the words you use, because they hang on those things. Absolutely. And like to your point, the negative motivation, what I've learned with Miles is I don't even, in comparison is a thief of joy, we know that. Right. But I won't even say like, hey man, if you work hard, you can be better than. That shuts him down. Yeah. Like, oh, you compare me to somebody else? Like, oh, and I may actually have anxiety about competing against him, right? Right. And so I have to make it about who he is and how Christ has made him and the things that he's gifted in, right? And talk about the effort. So yeah, that is it just blows my mind how all these kids in the same house, they're completely different. So now all of your kids did, they all got D1 scholarships. What was that process like? Because I would say, because Sammy's the oldest, Faith is the oldest, and then from Faith to Ben, right? When you have the insertion of the portal and the NIL, is much different environment, right? And so how did you guys navigate that? Like the money from when it was just, hey, let me go to school was the best fit. Yes. And that was like the most important thing. Yeah.
I think for us, especially with the older ones and the scholarship and the recruiting process and all of that, it was definitely where are you going to go to receive a scholarship. As we began to grow, I felt like with one of our kids was Samuel, and I love my alma mater. I love U of A. I wanted Samuel to follow my footsteps, and now I realize he actually could have gone a different way and experienced some different things. Right. Getting recruited is still about getting an education. Yeah. And that's still, for us, that's even in this era of transfer portal and money. Right. So Samuel could have gone to U of A, which we know is one of the top schools.
In what?
Partying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go.
Party schools, right?
Here we go.
So, or he could have gone to UVA, he could have gone to Duke, he could have gone to Boston College, right? And so what I recognized is I wanted him to follow my footsteps as it related to certain things, but we also recognize we work hard so they can have bigger places to go. And so I thought it was flattering, I thought it was cool, but as I look at it, it was still choose the best place for your child and not for something that you think is cool. Right. Choose the best place for your child to grow, to be encouraged, to all of the things that are necessary. Once you get down to the portal aspect of it, as weird as it is if you notice, Benjamin left early. Right. Okay. Benjamin had offers for a lot of money to stay. But it still comes down to choose the best place for you that's going to help you grow. This money is amazing, but it's not everything. Yeah. Right? Right. And so we just had to, with that situation, it still came back to who are we and what is our why. He chose Notre Dame because he wanted to be in an environment that he's accustomed to, like Brophy. Right. Yeah. He wanted to be in a community that inspired. He wanted to be in a place where he felt like he could be cultivated. And when it was all said and done, some of the most amazing football universities reached out to him for the transfer portal. And you better believe I listened.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it, money still didn't make a difference. And so I still say you got to choose what's right for your kid, because what you're choosing right now is going to impact their tomorrow. And he could have gone other places, and some of those places, one in particular, their legendary coach retired, and if he would have gone there, he wouldn't have even played for that man. So it's difficult to manage. It's difficult to manage.
Yeah, I actually had something very similar like that happen when I was coming out. I was supposed to go to Stanford. And that's when Willingham was there, right? Also coached at Notre Dame, really great coach, did really great things. I didn't get in. I was smart enough, just to let you guys know, I was smart enough. But they chose wrong.
There you go.
But the next year, so I ended up going to Cal. So Cal was also a great school, but it was my second choice. And I think they whooped us the first year. And then the next year, Willingham left. Right. And so you start, you know, these people say you're going to be there. Are you going to be there, coach?
Sure.
And then it shifted. We got Jeff Teffer. So we went from 1 to 11 to top 5 by the time I was a senior. And we whooped in the last 3 years. So in that, like, how do you vet? And actually, I got to get your beautiful bride on here sometime, Miss Joanne, because she's the real brains behind this thing. She's the real G, right? The real gangster. So she's going to ask some questions. And if she don't get the right answer, you're going to, all right, y'all talk to Demo. All right, I'm about to go over here. What are some of the questions that you guys kind of came up with, right, to kind of help facilitate conversation, understanding, to kind of discern what is the best place? How, when you're talking to a coach, like, what do you even ask?
Absolutely. We always start with the coach and the people who are going to be around our children. I always say this: I have to trust you for the next 3 or 4 years to aid us in cultivating something in our children. So we looked at it like that. Some people don't.
Right.
And so we always looked at the person. We're people of faith. We looked at how we felt like they would conduct themselves. We didn't need them to be like us, but what are some of the things that are essential? And so we started there. We would ask them. We would sit. We would go to these places, and they're always going to have that moment where you just sit down with the families. And we wanted to talk to their spouses. We wanted to talk to their wives and just see how they function with their children, knowing that this is a very, very difficult environment to cultivate family. And that's what we did. I remember vividly us sitting down at Notre Dame in Brian Kelly's house, but we spent our entire time talking to Coach Freeman, who was then the defense coordinator, and Mike Mickens. But we talked to their wives. And we sat there, and to this day, Joanne and their wives continue to remain in contact with one another. And so we based it on a few things. Will this person be able to help our child be the best that he or she could possibly be? So we asked them, tell us about the people who you felt like were some of your best recruits, but tell us about the ones that you felt like you missed on or relationally didn't connect. We were big on relationships. How do you function relationally? And then we would just ask them as well, how will you help our child become better? Not just on the football field, not just on the gymnastics floor, not just in volleyball, but how will you do that? And I'll be honest with you, it's kind of easy to figure out. And I have no problem with someone being motivated by winning. I have no problem with someone being motivated by being the best. But I also want to see somebody who's motivated by trying to cultivate something inside of your child. So we spent a lot of time just asking those type of questions. We wouldn't ask a lot of football questions. We hardly ever asked football questions. We just didn't. It's like, why would I have to ask him football questions when I can bring my son to you? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of we had the cheat code. So I knew that part. I know he has resources. I know he's got uncles. I know he's got people who he can look up to. So what are you going to bring? We got all of this. So what are you going to bring? And so I know that's not for everybody, but that's what we look for. And so it's very important.
No, that's good. I mean, the people that your kid's going to be around is significant, especially 18 to 22.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wish I had some men that I could have looked to at those ages in my life. I made a lot of different choices to help me grow up and maybe expedite the maturity process. Streamline it.
Of course.
Save you from some things. But now that you have you have kids that went through it, right? You've been in that space, right? Kind of talk about that when you were in the locker rooms on the NFL, right? You have a son there now. So what was your job as team chaplain? I know you used to work with Pastor Brett. And what did that look like, trying to cultivate a relationship with now grown men, professionals?
Yeah. It was very neat, and I had just transitioned out of the NFL, and I transitioned in a manner that it wasn't ideal.
Right.
Injury. Done. Over. I don't get to say I'm ready to be done.
Yeah.
So there was still some stuff inside of me. I wanted to do what they were doing. And so it was difficult at first because now I have to surround myself with people who are doing what I really desire to do. But in the same way, it was good because I was still close enough to where there was a level of respect and appreciation because some of them knew that I played.
Right.
And you know how it is. There's a great level of respect and appreciation and validation from someone who has done what you've done. Mm-hmm. It's been where you've been. So that part was being able to connect with the guys was good for me. I didn't realize how good it was for me personally. But then being able to help encourage them. Just being able to inspire these men to realize if you're that good on this field, if you're that mentally tough, when dealing with difficulties, man, you're made for this.
Right.
You're made for anything that you have to go through. And it was just helping. I think sports and being a chaplain is easy for me because I don't have to literally plant anything inside of them. It's already there.
Right, yeah.
It's just now when you use it in a different, you know what hard work is.
Right.
You know what it means to fall down and have to get back up. You know what it means to win and to lose.
Right.
You know what it means for someone to love you one minute and to hate you.
Mm-hmm.
You know all of those things. And there's something inside of you that literally causes you to continue to go, to continue to fight, to continue to give your best. So being in this environment is actually easier than doing it at church. I'll be honest with you. I'll be the first one to tell you. Now, it's harder to get them to change some things.
Yeah.
But they get it.
Right.
They understand it. And so that's the joy.
Yeah.
The ability to connect at that level has been awesome. And so it inspires me. It really does. Being around these people, reminding myself, Darryl, you still remember what it means to work hard. Mm-hmm. You still remember what it means to give your best. You still remember what it meant to want to quit. You knew you couldn't. Right. And not just because of you, because you knew your brother next to you wasn't going to quit. No. So those transcend beyond just the football field. Right. And it works in every aspect of life. A lot of the things that I do, even in my own personal life, because I don't want to disappoint a person like you. Because I know you're fighting as hard as you possibly can. Yeah, right? Sure. And that's my inspiration. So I call it the brotherhood, whatever we want to call it. It's very important.
No, that's good. And so talk about that transition, right? Because you had to do some dark work. And when I say dark work, the work people don't see.
Absolutely. Like
that mental transition, right? You see a lot of guys. Like I talk to a ton of guys, and I think one of the great things that you were forced to do that you may not necessarily want to do it, and this is why our youth football team is like seek discomfort, because typically in that discomfort is where you find your peace and your healing, and you get grown.
Yes.
You stay connected, right? What were some of the things that you may have was faced with or learned or had to process while you were kind of going through that mourning the game?
Yeah. So you said I stayed connected. What I realized is, and this is very important, I stayed connected to a small few. And not of my choosing. I learned then that there were certain relationships that I had that we had that relationship because we did the same thing. And then there were other relationships that we fought to stay connected because now my schedule's not like yours.
Right.
Now on Saturdays when I'm sitting around doing nothing, you're getting ready to get on the plane. So in order for those relationships to really be maintained, it was hard to make sure they stayed connected. So I had to fight to stay connected. And that was hard because I was going through the next part, what you said, mourning. Then you have to mourn this thing that you feel like you've lost. So for my first 2 years, I transitioned and started working in human resources. Every day at lunch, I would go work out like I was getting ready to go play. It was still in me.
Right.
I still had it was the clock. You come around July or August, something And so, as weird as it was, I had to allow those things to die. That's hard. had to allow those things to die off. And then you have to reorient not who you are, but how you're going to do what you're going to do, right? And so it was difficult, very, very difficult, and I don't think people realize that. It's very dark because this is what you have done all of your life.
Right.
And now you have to figure out, like, not just what am I going to do, like, who am I outside of this?
Yeah.
And you get to see your peers
doing
it, and you sitting there like, oh, I could have made that play,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's all of that. But I think
they don't go to the Super Bowl.
there you go. And I hope whoever that was, you got my number, got my position. I hope they suck.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then you have to get down with that. But I think I really do think, as you said, I had to find something to do.
Right.
And I think this is where the purpose thing comes in, man. I want to make a difference. I still want to be a person who makes a difference. And so I had to do that. Started with our kids and our family, really invested in them. Started in our community. We started doing stuff in our neighborhood with people in our community. Then it started with our church community. And so I had to still find a team.
Right.
I can't live without a team.
Yeah.
And so I still had to be on a team. And I had to figure out, where will I find a team now? Because my profession has changed, but I still have to be on the team.
No, that's good. So, how did that transition that you went through as a player to a chaplain, working in HR, how did that help you? Because when you decided to move out here and become a pastor, head pastor, and open up Allegate Church, you had your team, right? You had your routine.
Absolutely.
You was comfortable,
Absolutely.
right? You was in D.C., nation's capital, right?
Loved it.
Right, and now you have to come back to where some things maybe weren't ideal, right? Uncomfortable, right? Discomfort. How did, and I don't know, was it your choice, or did Pastor Brett come to you one day and say, man, I got a word that you need to go back home? How did that even?
So it was my choice.
Okay.
My mother lived here in the Central Phoenix, and I would come and visit her. My daughter was doing gymnastics. She went to University of Washington, but they had a meet here against U of A. So I came and visited, and I was just, one day, just woke up early in the morning because it was 3 hours different.
Yeah.
I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, and so I just began to drive around, and something just began to kind of give me this feeling of, like, Darryl, you've done some really cool things back in Washington, D.C., and now it's time to come home. That was hard for me because I love D.C.
Right.
I love the community we were in. I love the relationships that we had. Like, I love just everything about it. The church we were in. But I was the benefactor. Now, how can I be the blesser? How can I be a blessing? And that was hard. So it took us 2 years to make that transition. And John struggled with that because she loved that place.
Right.
When we were here, this wasn't the best place for us when we were young. And so now coming back, we recognized we had changed. We had grown, we had matured, and there was the right thing for us to do. And then coming here, I then had to work. It took me years to do this. Because when you got a good team, so I spent a lot of time trying to compare the people here to my team back there.
Right, yeah.
And it just couldn't compare. And then I didn't recognize you're supposed to create that team here.
Yeah.
Right? The things that you benefited from, the relationships that you had there, will you now choose to cultivate that here? And it took me a minute. And I did. I still leaned on, I lean on people who I know. I remember y'all from back in Virginia.
Right.
That's what made it so easy. So I was so happy that you all were here. But in that, I love how now that begins to grow.
Right.
And now we begin to build relationships with those who are here. And some of the things we benefited from there, we now do here. And I love that. So now other people are being encouraged by this, but I'm being encouraged by them. Right. And so I appreciate my team back there, but like I love the team I'm on here now. Right. And so it took a lot of that, but I'm grateful for that, and I think it was necessary.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my team. I know I look good and stuff and fly, but my girl Portia Bates behind the camera.
Yes, indeed.
She make all the magic happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So shout out to my team. I got a great team helping us out on this podcast. And so, being in the church, there's a lot of great things happening, and I love one of the things you never wanted to make it seem like this mega church where you feel in and you don't have relationships. Everything is centered around relationships, right? From how you greet it to the small groups to the emphasis that we put on doing things together, right? It's really cool. What is like the vision as far as impacting the fitness community? You know, what is on your heart right now and really driving the church?
So when I think about us, and I always have to ask myself, what do we look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And I'm thinking about it now because 10 years will be coming up of us being here, and I want to go back and I want to look at that. One of the things I want to make sure that we do is we serve the people God has given us, right? And what does that mean? What are their needs?
Right.
What are the needs of our community? Quite often, a church can be somewhere, and it's a place where people come to.
Right.
And the people in their neighborhood never know that that church is there. They see it, but they don't know anything. I want us to be a people who go to our community, who serve our community, and sow to our community. And so where I see us going as a church is, and it starts with kind of inspiring and encouraging people to recognize there's a difference maker inside of them, right? Quite often people feel like that's for somebody else. Like there are amazing people that God has blessed us with right here. And so encouraging us to recognize that we are a gift that can be a blessing to our community. So I want us to transform our community. I really do envision, even when we get our own church building, is that it will probably be a little bit unconventional because I want it to be more so for our community, a place for our community to come and experience the love of Christ through different means.
Yeah.
I pray we have a facility.
Right.
I pray we do so that we can train kids. My daughter does cycling. I pray we get a building where we can have cycling classes where the community can come. Because you're doing multiple things. You're caring for the people mentally, emotionally, and physically, and then you get to care for them spiritually. So my desire is that we would then, I'm big on leadership development and kind of making sure you do have a protege.
Right.
That you're building somebody up who's next. And that we would begin to kind of raise up leaders within our midst, and that they would lead within our church, but then also within the metropolitan area. So my desire is that we would see more churches become established here, because the best way to make an impact, as wild as it is, to make an impact from a Christian perspective, is to start a church, because it can change a community.
Yeah.
So I want us to change communities, I want us to change lives, and I want our lives to be changing in this step.
Man, that's great. That's great stuff. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, visiting with me. It's been a blessing. Hopefully everybody at home has been blessed as well. I mean, he's gave you a lot of great nuggets, especially for my coaches, parents out there. The culture that he's talking about in the church can be applied to your team organization, right? When you love it on people, living for them, and leading them to Christ. I mean, those things are transformational, and they expand past your sport. So beyond the game, right? Trying to really grow people. So please seek discomfort. Sometimes you gotta step out of your comfort zone to build those relationships, right? With another parent, another athlete, another coach. Definitely do that. But appreciate everybody. That is our episode for today on the Apply Pressure Podcast. Please hit the like and subscribe button. You can also check me out on IG, Instagram, Lorenzo_John. Can't wait to do life with you.